Let's turn it over to Paul's colleague, Mark Pignatelli, who has joined us regularly at our Home Builders Action Council meetings to start off our meeting today, talking about some heat pump water heater rebates in new construction that he's seeing from his vantage point. Mark, thanks for being on today.
Thanks, Joe. And thanks, Paul. Paul, I envy your golf tan. Just had to say that. Looking good, my friend. Thanks for having me today. Hey, everybody. Mark Pignatelli with ICF. Joe, you can go to the next slide. Just a couple quick intro slides. So Paul and I are colleagues at ICF. No, we're not the insulated concrete forms, but essentially we're a global consulting firm. So just wanted to throw up a quick slide to give a little background on our company. But we work across many sectors in the energy space, work with a lot of utility clients, federal clients, delivering, designing energy efficiency programs, among a lot of other things within our consulting firm. So I always like to brag, we've been carbon neutral since 2006. So just want to touch on that. And Joe, you can go to the next slide, which really just shows that we're a purpose-driven firm. We deliver services and capabilities. You can see on the bottom with a wide range of industries shown on the top. One area I'm just going to focus on, actually two, our energy and utility industry, but also our disaster management industry. And I actually don't have this on the next couple slides, but I did want to talk about it, which is a new program we're in the middle of launching in California. This is a wildfire natural disaster resiliency rebuild program. I've been working closely with the team at ICF, along with our clients at SoCal Edison, along with the energy division and some of the other electric IOUs. And this is a really unique, exciting program. For one, within ICF, within our division where Paul and I sit, rarely do we really intersect with some of the other divisions like disaster management. So this kind of brings together our disaster management experience and expertise under our energy efficiency expertise. So this program, we're hoping to have this launched by the end, or I should say by the end of Q3, beginning of Q4. At this point, we're waiting to get our incentive design approved by the commission, the energy division. I did want to just share, though, one of the proposed incentives that we have for this is around ultra-low global warming potential heat pump water heaters. This was something near and dear to the energy division, or the Public Utility Commission, as they're called. And so we are proposing there's a $3,000 base incentive or a $4,500 equity incentive. So we'll see. We're hoping, fingers crossed, we can get through some of the approval processes here and begin to stand some things up and launch this. But this is unique because we're really going to be working with folks that have experienced a natural disaster and they've lost their home. And this program is really trying to push decarbonization as they rebuild, along with resiliency measures, one of them being this ultra-low GWP heat pump water heater. So did want to mention that, some pretty good incentives. Hopefully we'll get approved. They do have to use, and I know there's not a lot of these, I think they're starting to come online, and I think the folks on this call could tell me better than I know, what's out there. But looking at refrigerants that are using less than 10 GWP, they do have to comply with the California Energy Commission JA13 compliance, or they could also be on the QPL list with NEA. Or we could look at Energy Star specs too, for residential water heaters version 4 with connected capability. So did want to just put that out there. And like I said, it hasn't been approved yet and officially launched, but hopefully by Q4. So, but yeah, next slide, Joe. And forgive my, actually, yeah, we got this one. So I did want to just give you a quick kind of high level when it comes to residential new construction programs. So I mentioned we do a lot of demand side management, designing, implementing energy efficiency programs for utility clients. I lead up our new homes offering. And so we currently operate about 25 programs across the country for our utility clients. And this is really providing builders incentives to build homes above the energy code. We really try to align with Energy Star, so we try to provide incentives for homes that are achieving Energy Star certification. And so there's a lot of similarities across these programs, a lot of nuances. In the next couple slides, I'll highlight a few of these programs that do have heat pump water heater incentives specifically. But a lot of these programs really are looking at like a whole home performance-based energy modeling approach. So you are ultimately going to be rewarded for a heat pump water heater in that new home. Sometimes it's not specifically called out because we may be incentivizing, like I said, an Energy Star certified home. Maybe we're doing performance-based incentives like, every KWH saved above the baseline home, you get a certain amount of money to help offset some of those incremental costs. So there is some of the value there baked into some of these programs with offsetting some of the costs for heat pump water heaters. I will call out in the next few slides some specific programs that do have like either bonus incentives or prescriptive incentives. So Joe, you can go to the next slide. And I will say this is not the end all be all. I probably am missing out of these next two slides a couple programs out there that are not on my radar. But I have tried to kind of build out like a national directory of new homes, rebates, and incentives available to builders. So excuse my lack of creativity with these next two slides. I had to pull together these charts relatively quickly, but these programs here on the chart are ones that ICF implements on behalf of our utility clients. So I'll just briefly go down the list here, and there are some caveats to these incentive dollars that you can see. So Excel Energy in Minnesota, homes must achieve at least a 10% savings over the code baseline in Minnesota, and they can be eligible for either a $400 or $500 rebate as kind of a bonus incentive for Energy Star heat pump water heaters. The higher incentive is for those that have connectivity capabilities or communication port. Duke Energy in the Raleigh market in North Carolina, there's a $350 incentive for heat pump water heaters. The homes do have to meet the HERO standards or meet HERO standards with a HERS rating. And as you can see, it has to be at least an energy factor 2 or higher. DTE, as you can see, some pretty good incentives there based on the UEF. There are some prerequisites for these homes. They need to meet at least a HERS 60 or less. There are some pay for performance incentives as well, and then these additional bonus incentives. Empower Maryland is a collective of utilities and cooperatives in Maryland, and they do offer, and this is relatively new this year, or at least it's been increased, which is $1,000 heat pump water heater incentive. They must achieve, the homes must also achieve Energy Star certification to be eligible for these bonus incentives for heat pump water heaters. SRP, this is a Salt River project based in Phoenix, Arizona, Maricopa County. Energy Star is a prereq for this. This is a bonus incentive for homes that are also exceeding the energy code. And then there's also some performance-based incentives in addition to the bonus incentive for the heat pump water heater. AEP Texas, there are some mandatory program requirements in addition to this heat pump water heater incentive. So one example is the home has to meet grade 1 wall insulation, working with a HERS rater. They also have like a tiered system. So there's other incentives available to the builder in addition to the heat pump water heater. Massachusetts just rolled out an all-electric residential new construction program actually this year, and have really all electric, as I said. So there are some incentives available, but the one in particular for heat pump water heaters is specific to a split system at $750. PNM is Public Service New Mexico. Typically, this is Albuquerque, Santa Fe area. You can see there's a higher incentive. They do need to meet a minimum of 2 prescriptive measures as it relates to that whole home to get the 700. And then there's I don't know, I had a dollar sign there, but that's really just 2 UEF or greater, and then a 55 gallon or less to be eligible for the 300. I will have a slide at the end with my contact information. Joe and Paul know where to find me. I'm sure we'll be sharing these slides, but happy to be a resource if I can help certainly with these ICF programs, I can point you to the local teams that are running these, or just help be a resource to connect dots for you guys. So I'm happy to do that. Joe, if you go to the next slide, this really is what I could find out there where ICF is not involved in the resi new construction programs, but there are some heat pump water heater incentives. Encore in Dallas, Centerpoint in Houston, and OUC in Orlando just so happen to all be right on the $500 mark, and they do need to be Energy Star. I did kind of browse through and try to see if there was anything else that I could dig up quickly. Didn't find anything. Like I said, this is not the end all be all, but at least wanted to provide you guys a sense of what's out there. And as I said, I think a lot of these incentives that are looking at the whole home, heat pump water heaters are a great value and certainly help with the HERS rating index and performance and efficiency, as we all know. So, a lot of that is going to contribute to a whole home performance-based incentive. It's just not parsed out like you see in some of these prescriptive ones. So that's all I got. The next slide just has my contact info, and happy to hang for any questions if I can answer them or be a resource down the line.
Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate that. I can kick us off. We've just got a couple minutes for questions. Just a quick question on, you said that or we've seen that Clayton Homes with their manufactured housing is kind of getting that zero energy homes rating and that incentive, that $5,000 incentive, and that you said most heat pump water heater incentives are incorporated in the whole home approach. Are you seeing heat pump water heaters either as like a bonus incentive or as part of the whole home approach being a driving force? I mean, are people installing them just for these incentives? Are they working and functioning from your experience, or are they kind of an afterthought currently? They're not really driving.
Of course, there's a couple of answers, I think. I mean, it does depend on the market in the demand, but I would say from a program design standpoint, when we have some pretty good incentives to try to drive like Energy Star certification to actually certify the home, but they can add on some bonus incentives like a heat pump water heater or even a heat pump. We're seeing much more uptake there because I think it's just called out, and I think builders and participants see that direct dollar value with, tied to that particular product, where whole home performance-based modeling, you can still get value, but you don't really see it, right? It's kind of baked into that incentive, if you will. Not to say we're not seeing an uptick in those markets where we have that type of incentive design. And I don't have numbers off the top of my head, but you do mention Clayton Homes. It's remarkable what they've done. And in the heat pump water heater space alone, not to mention the fact they're building these manufactured homes to the dozer levels. We are actually actively working with Clayton, and we've been designing some manufactured homes pilots for our utility clients, because this is really a different segment from traditional stick-built resi new construction or even modular and so forth, of course. So I think just the market share of what they're doing in the heat pump water heater space is commendable. So we've been having a lot of great conversations with them and trying to design these manufactured homes pilots for our clients in collaboration with Clayton to make sure we could, that this would work for them, that they would participate and get value in it. And that too, really, at least early on, we've only had a couple pilots. We are looking at kind of aligning incentives with like a flat rate incentive for achieving Energy Star or DOE. It's predictable for the builder. They can layer with 45L. But then I think there are opportunities, depending on budgets, to add some of these bonus incentives on top of those certification incentives.
Great. Okay. Well, we're getting close. I want to do two final questions that we're seeing in the chat, but the first one is from Josh, and I had this question as well. Do you have any idea why the Mass Save program is requiring a split system heat pump water heater, since there's just a couple of those on the market? Do you know any details on that program in particular?
Not offhand. I'm going to go off video, guys. I'm kind of freezing up. Not offhand, look into that.
Okay. Curious on that, but that's That's curiosity. And then Jay, I see you on screen. Do you want to just ask your question quick, and then we'll go to our next presenter?
Yeah. Well, as a builder, we're installing the heat pump water heaters. We can treat them instead of being standard as an option. If we treat them as an option that the home buyer is paying extra for, and we go to closing, and now the home buyer, can they use that option sheet as like a sales sheet and take the incentive personally? Did you follow me? You went frozen.
Mark, are you still there?
He's
Shoot,
frozen in time.
we may have lost Mark. We can, if anybody knows that question and wants to chime in, please do. Otherwise, we will circle back on that one, Jay.
Okay.
Okay, Mark might have to be reconnecting. Jay, we'll try to circle back and get an answer on that because that's a huge one. Can they take advantage of those? Can home buyers take advantage of the heat pump water heater tax credits? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's. Thanks for that presentation, Mark. If you're still with us, and we'd love to have that answer from you when we can. We'll follow